Are you sure that you are you? This question challenges the very foundation of our reality. We live convinced that I is our passport, our job, our memories, our scars, and our triumphs. We have built our lives around this myth of self-identity. But what if I told you that all of this is just a shadow cast on the wall of a cave? What if your true essence is something unchanging, something that does not age or die? What if you are not an actor on the stage of life, but the spotlight that illuminates it? We live in a world where self-identification is the highest value. "I think, therefore I am," said Descartes, and this phrase became the cornerstone of our civilization. We build our lives around this I, protect it, and cherish it. But what if this I is just a carefully constructed phantom, an illusion necessary for navigating the social world, but completely separate from who you really are? Think about it. If you are your thoughts, then who is observing those thoughts? If you are your emotions, then who is the one who feels them come and go? This observer is your true nature. Let's use an analogy. You are looking at your phone screen. Notifications, messages, and photos flicker across it. You might feel happy when you see a good message and upset when you get a bad one. But you never think that you are the notification or the photo. You always know that you are the one looking at the screen. The true nature of your I is not what happens on the screen, but the very consciousness that perceives it. It is a pure field of awareness on which all phenomena appear and disappear, like frames in a movie. What is the witness? And why is it not you in the usual sense? The first and most important myth we must destroy is the myth that you are your personality. Imagine that you are not the hero of a movie, but a viewer in a movie theater. The hero on screen can feel fear, love, or anger. Sitting in your chair, you can empathize with them, even cry. But deep down, you always know that it is just a story, and you are the one observing it. You don't become the hero. This is exactly how the witness works. It is not a personality, not a person, not you in the usual sense of the word. The witness is that which sees everything that comes and goes, but remains unchanged in the process. It is not a thought, but the space in which thoughts appear. It is not an emotion, but the background on which emotions are played out. Imagine that your mind is a stormy sea. Thoughts are waves, emotions are storms, and sensations are currents. Your ego identifies with these waves and storms, fighting them, trying to control or avoid them. But the witness is not a wave or a storm. The witness is the very depth of the ocean, which remains calm and still, regardless of what is happening on the surface. It is not involved in the drama, does not judge or evaluate. It is simply present. It does not say, "This thought is good," and "this one is bad." It simply sees how one thought replaces another, how one emotion gives way to another. It is that very calm, motionless presence against which your entire life unfolds. It is the background, not the figure. It is the light, not what is illuminated. We are too used to thinking of ourselves as doers. We think that we choose thoughts and manage emotions. But try to stop a single thought. Just one. You will see that it is impossible. Thoughts simply come and go. What you call me is actually just a set of reactions to these thoughts and emotions. The witness is what is before all these reactions. It is pure awareness, on which all the phenomena of your experience appear. It does nothing, but its presence makes everything possible. Isn't this dissociation a detachment from life? This is the main misconception, and it deserves a detailed explanation. Dissociation is a psychological defense mechanism where a person walls themselves off from a painful experience to avoid feeling the pain. There is suffering in dissociation because it is based on the rejection of what is. You say, "No, I don't want to feel this. It's too painful." It is an act of resistance and suppression. It is an attempt to block pain, which ultimately leads to even greater suffering. Witnessing is not rejection. It is acceptance. You don't detach to avoid feeling. You allow everything to be, because you understand that all of this is not you. It's like watching the clouds. You don't become a cloud. You just watch it move across the sky. When the cloud goes away, the sky remains. Dissociation is an attempt to close your eyes so you don't see the cloud. Witnessing is the realization that you are the sky, which simply allows the clouds to drift by. Witnessing does not make you emotionless. On the contrary, it frees you from the prison of your reactions. You can feel grief, but not drown in it. You can feel joy, but not cling to it. This allows you to live life more fully because you are no longer afraid of what it will bring. Your sensitivity to life grows, but your identification with it falls. It's like a conductor who directs an orchestra, but is not any of the notes. He experiences all the music, but does not become it. It's similar to how a parent watches their child play. They love their child, they participate in their life, but they know that they are not the child. They do not identify with every fall or success. Witnessing is precisely this level of maturity, where you see your life, your personality, and your emotions from the position of a loving, wise parent, not a frightened, identified child. You still feel, but you feel from a different place, from a space of peace and clarity that cannot be affected by the storms. How do I become the witness if I don't feel like I am? Here lies the biggest secret. You don't become the witness. You already are. You have simply forgotten about it. Your personality, yourself, is like a thick layer of dust on a mirror. You don't see the reflection, but that doesn't mean the mirror isn't there. Your task is not to become the witness, but to remove the dust. How do you do this? Start with the simplest, yet most revolutionary act. Observe. Observe your thoughts like clouds floating across the sky. Don't try to stop them, change them, or judge them. Just watch. Notice your emotions like waves crashing on the shore. Don't try to hold on to them or push them away. Just let them be. Observe the sensations in your body. Pain, pleasure, tension, relaxation. Just observe. When you do this, you begin to see that there is the one who observes, and there is what is observed. And you are not what is observed. This is the very first, most important step toward liberation. It is not an effort, but disidentification. It's like a person who, having thought all their life that they were a prisoner, suddenly realizes that the prison door has always been open and the walls were painted on. They don't have to escape. They just have to get up and walk out. You don't need to search for the witness. It is already here. It is what is reading these words right now. What is perceiving these letters? What is hearing the inner voice that speaks them? This background of awareness is your true nature. Everything else, thoughts, feelings, sensations, appears on this background and disappears. You are not doing this. It just happens. Your job is not to interfere with it. But isn't the witness just another thought, another I? This is a very subtle but important question that takes us to the next level of understanding. Yes, at first you might think, I am the witness. This is still a thought, still part of the personality that is trying to assign itself a new label. But it is a useful thought. It is like a bridge that helps you cross the river of identification. You use one thought to see that all other thoughts are not you. But ultimately, the witness is not the final stop either. It is merely a reflection of something much deeper, something that cannot be described with words. The witness is like a point where the subject and object still exist, where there is I who sees, and that which I see. But beyond the witness is pure consciousness, or the absolute self. This is that which has no form or name. This is that which simply is. This is the background on which not only the world, but the witness itself appears and disappears. The witness cannot observe itself. When you try to observe the witness, you find that it is not there. There is only a pure, indistinguishable presence. It's like trying to photograph light. You can photograph what it illuminates, but the light itself remains invisible. It just is, and it is the condition for everything that is visible. This is your true, limitless nature. Why is it so hard to remain the witness? The secret of attachment. The main reason why we so easily forget our true nature is attachment. We are attached to our stories, our fears, and our desires. We create a personality to get something or to avoid something. It's like a child who holds on to a toy and cannot let go, even if it is broken and hurts them. We hold on to our personality because we are afraid of the emptiness that we think will remain if we let go of it. But this emptiness is not emptiness at all. It is freedom. It is like letting go of a burning coal you've held in your hand your whole life, thinking you are losing something valuable, while you are actually freeing yourself from pain. Your personality is not your essence, but merely a habit conditioned by fear. It's like old, worn-out clothing that has become so familiar that you have forgotten you can take it off. The practice of witnessing is simply reminding yourself that you have a choice: to continue wearing these clothes, or to see that you have always been free of them. Think about desire. We think that desire is a part of us, but who is the one who desires? And who is the one who observes that desire? When you simply observe a desire, without trying to satisfy it or suppress it, you see that it is like a passing bird. It comes and goes. And you are not the bird, but the sky it flies through. True freedom is not the absence of desires, but the absence of slavery to them. How does this understanding change life? This understanding changes everything, and yet it changes nothing. Externally, your life remains the same. You still have problems, obligations, and relationships. But internally, you stop being a slave to your circumstances. When you understand that you are not your thoughts, you stop suffering from anxiety. You see that anxiety is just a thought, and a thought is just a sound in your head. When you understand that you are not your emotions, you stop being a victim of anger or fear. You see that anger is just a temporary state, like the weather, which changes. You can feel its energy, but it no longer controls you. This does not mean that you become indifferent. On the contrary, you begin to approach life with love and compassion because you no longer identify with its ups and downs. You see that the world is a big play, and you can participate in it, enjoy it, but at the same time, know that you are not the play. This is freedom that you do not achieve. You simply realize that you were never unfree. You see that the chains you were bound by were illusory. They were made of thoughts, of self-concepts, but were never real. You don't become free. You see that you were never bound. Life becomes like a game in which you are a player, but you realize that you are not your avatar. You can celebrate victories and mourn defeats, but they do not define who you are. They are just part of the game. This understanding gives you the ability to live boldly, without fear of making a mistake, because you know that even if the character fails, the player will remain intact. It liberates an enormous amount of energy for creativity, for love, for a full life. What if I forget about this again and again? And what is effort without a doer? This is completely normal. It is not a failure. It does not mean that you are doing something wrong. The mind, or ego, is constantly trying to pull you back into the old routine. The ego lives by identification. I am my job. I am my relationships. I am my problems. When you begin to disidentify, the ego feels threatened and tries to get everything back to normal. But this is the whole point of the practice. In returning, there is no failure in forgetting. There is failure in not returning. Every time you catch yourself identifying with a thought or emotion again, just gently, without judgment, bring your attention back to observation. It's like learning to walk. You fall, you get up, and you try again. Over time, you start walking more confidently, and the falls become less frequent. This does not require effort. It requires vigilance. It's like being on guard, but without tension. And here we come to the concept of effort without a doer. When you first start, it might seem like you are doing the practice. You are observing. But over time, you will notice that it is not you who is observing. Observation happens on its own. It's like breathing. You don't do it. It just happens. It is not your effort, but a grace that simply returns you to your true nature. The practice stops being a task and becomes simply an act of returning, which happens on its own as soon as you give it space. It is not a struggle, but surrender. It is not an attempt to control your mind, but to allow it to be as it is. It is not effort, but no effort. It's like dropping a heavy rock you have been holding in your hand your whole life. You don't make an effort to drop it. You just unclench your fingers. Witnessing and relationships with others. Many people are concerned about the question, if I stop identifying with my personality, what will happen to my relationships? Won't I become cold and detached? The answer is the opposite. When you stop seeing another person as a set of labels, as good or bad, as a friend or an enemy, you begin to see their true presence, their own awareness. You stop reacting to their personality, to their words, to their emotions, and start seeing them as they truly are. This is not detachment, but unconditional love. You love a person not for what they give you, not for their qualities, but simply for the fact that they exist. You may feel anger when they do something unpleasant, but you do not identify with that anger. You see that it is their suffering, their pain, that is manifesting in their actions, and your heart, being free, is filled with compassion. This makes your relationships much deeper, more honest, and more meaningful. You no longer play the ego's games. You simply are present with the other person. Beyond the witness, unity, and non-duality. When the practice of witnessing becomes natural, you begin to see that the observer and the observed are not so separate. You begin to see that there is no I who observes, nor an object that is observed. There is only one unified field of awareness in which all phenomena appear. This is the deepest level of understanding, which is called non-duality. It is the realization that the wave and the ocean are not two different things. The wave is simply a form that the ocean takes. You and the world are not two different things. You are simply a form that the one consciousness takes. This is not a concept, but a direct experience. You look at a tree, and you don't see a tree. You see yourself, manifesting in the form of a tree. You look at a person, and you see yourself, manifesting in the form of that person. This is not the disappearance of the personality, but its transcendence. The personality continues to exist, but you no longer believe in it as your true nature. It becomes a tool for creativity and manifestation, but you know that you are not the tool, but the one who uses it. It's like an actor who has become so immersed in a role that they have forgotten who they really are. The practice of witnessing is a reminder to them that they are not the role, but the actor themselves. And when they remember this, they can play their role even better, even more freely, because they are no longer afraid of making a mistake. So what does all this mean? In the end, all these words are just pointers to something that lies beyond them. Witness, self, consciousness. These are just words. The ultimate reality is that which cannot be named. It is who you truly are. And when you stop searching, you will discover that you have always been here, always been this. You don't become this. You have always been this, and you will always be this. The only thing you need to do is to stop searching, to stop running, and to simply be. Just observe life unfolding, knowing that in its deepest core, you are peace, silence, and pure presence.